But right now, a year and a half after the fire, we're looking long term and we're trying to think about permanence. Yeah. All the funds that are coming in. So it's almost a bittersweet revival that you're able to do this, because we need to be able to put people in homes, but not just put them in homes, make sure that the homes are affordable. We have to look our own community in the eye every single day to let them know that we're fighting for them.
Ezra Levant here. I just landed in Maui about an hour and a half ago, and I'm headed home tonight at 10:30. So it's not actually a vacation, although I feel like I'm in paradise just for a few hours. I'm here actually to right a wrong. And at first I was a little bit embarrassed by it, but I'm not embarrassed by it because we're going to fix it. Let me explain to you. You might know that a year and a half ago, I came to Lahaina, Maui, with Lincoln J. and Alexa Lavoie to cover the horrific fire, the wildfire that whipped through that town and killed more than 100 people. And we were so touched by what happened that we set up a crowd fund for the local people to help with medical and other expenses, tents, food, things like that. And incredibly, our viewers raised more than $50,000 US. While we were on the ground, we also bought stuff from Walmart and got to know the community at Hanakawai Park, which was a bit of a relief center. So I felt pretty good about that. But once we raised the money, I couldn't be in charge of doling it out because I'm in Toronto. So we hired a local trustee, and we signed actually a legal contract with him to only spend the money on those things that people really need. Don't give money, don't pay any salaries or anything like that. Anyways, I came back to Maui about a month ago to see how the reconstruction is going after the fire, and that's actually a terrible story as well. But when I was here, a man named John Kinimaki said, Ezra, I heard that there was misappropriation of those funds. I said, John, that's impossible. We hired a trustee specifically to take care of it. I'll write him a letter and I'll prove it to you. I mean, that was a crazy thing to hear. But wouldn't you know it, John was right. First of all, half the money that was crowdfunded to help people in Lahaina, half of it wasn't spent at all. And the other half was spent on precisely the things that we weren't supposed to spend it on, giving cash to volunteers. You don't pay volunteers. We lawyered up and demanded the unspent money back. I'll talk about that in a second. And then we told the trustee, you broke your agreement. We're coming for the rest. He realized he was wrong. And actually, he did the right thing. He agreed to send back, to make good, the money that was misappropriated. Now, that sounds terrifying, but we got it. And I am here for a few hours to give it to someone who I think really cares about the people in Lahaina and who will help the victims of the fire today in 2025. So that's why I'm here. And I'm talking with Mikey Burke. Mikey, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Ezra.
We want to do the right thing. We have about 1,000 donors that really thought we were helping the fire victims, but the money was not spent properly. We've got it back. Here's the first half that was unspent. We're getting the second half later. We want to give it to people who are helping make a difference. Can you tell me a little bit about what you and your team do with the land trust? Because that's a very interesting way to help people. But just give me some background about it. I wanted to tell our people what we're going to do with the dough.
So Lahaina Community Land Trust started in the wake of the fire. It was actually, as the ashes were cooling, we were starting to think about what was going to happen to the land here in Lahaina, because it's already so hard to make ends meet here and to be able to live and thrive here. And you take this place that is so sought after, and now you have people that are in a precarious position and they don't know what they're going to do next. If they get a phone call that says, let me take this off your hands for this beautiful price of XYZ, in a desperate situation, when you're already traumatized, when you're not making decisions at full capacity, that might be the easy way to solve the problem.
Profiteers.
Yes.
People with other plans, people who have their own agenda.
Yes, disaster capitalists, and they exist. And we've seen that across other disasters. Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, a lot of money came in, right, to help. The city got gentrified, and the local people of that place, within 10 years, was pushed out. And we didn't want that to happen here in Lahaina. Our motto is keep Lahaina lands in Lahaina hands. And we want to make sure that everybody who was here on August 8th has the chance to come back. We want to make sure that we know the people in our neighborhoods, that we recognize the faces. And so that's why we started this land trust, to be able to be an option for people who are in a bad position, who maybe don't want to come back because they don't feel safe right now to be here, or they need to move on because maybe they're older and they don't want to they don't have the time or the energy to rebuild something, right? And so we want them to know that if you come to the land trust, we're going to ensure that we put somebody in that home that's of this place. We're going to give Lahaina a chance to be here and to stay.
You know, there's a lot of interesting things you said. One of the things I learned is that many of the people in Lahaina didn't own their own property, so they were renters. And when I was here last month, I was shocked by how little rebuilding had been done. And I know some people have given up. They've either left for other parts of Maui or gone back to the mainland altogether. It's a kind of demographic, I don't want to say cleansing, but they are, you know, folks were traumatized once. And then another time, I would say, I'm shocked by how little rebuilding is going on. But I think, you know, it's been a year and a half, and I'm terrified how long it'll be. I think part of what made Lahaina special was those people in this place. It's a kind of nationalism.
Yeah. It's a really hard position to be in because in some spaces we are 2 years ahead of schedule in terms of the debris cleanup and some of the permitting and the sewer and the water infrastructure that has been able to come in. But at the same time, we were in a housing crisis before the fire. And so to lose, you know, thousands of homes in a place where we didn't even have enough homes to begin with, people couldn't wait a year and a half. They couldn't wait an extra 2 years. And so there's this just mass exodus right now. It's triage and we're trying to keep them here. But, you know, we can only move at the speed of the government. We can only move at the speed of the trauma that's being healed right now. And so, yeah, there's not a lot coming up very quickly, but every single home that comes up, we know them. And it's a symbol of hope for the next person to know that, hey, if this family can do it, then I think we can do it too. And it moves the bar just a little bit more and a little bit more.
Mikey, I'm guided by a few different principles. The number one is the donor intent. When we had 1,000 people put together more than 50,000 US, and we're from Canada, so we have mini bucks. US dollars, that's a lot. So my number one duty, I believe, is to do what they want us to do. And the trustee we hired failed. Now, I don't want to get into recriminations because the most important thing is we got the money back. So what is the thing, like the fire's been out for a year and a half, what do? If you want to help people who the fire upended their lives, I think the Lahaina Lands Trust may be the closest way to do it. So I believe that this is fulfilling my obligation, my fiduciary obligation to the donors. You can't provide day after medical and food because that moment is gone. And I'm very mad about how our donations were handled by the trustee. But we have a second chance now.
We do, yeah. And so in the immediacy, there was this need for just the basics, right, to meet our basic needs. But right now, a year and a half after the fire, we're looking long term and we're trying to think about permanence. Yeah. All the funds that are coming in. So it's almost a bittersweet revival that you're able to do this, because we need to be able to put people in homes, but not just put them in homes, make sure that the homes are affordable, that they don't have to work 3 or 4 jobs and that they're at risk of losing it. And then when and if they decide that they need to move on, that home is sold to another person in Lahaina that keeps the home affordable and keeps the community here, that community that you talked about, that makes this place so special.
There's one last reason why I'm doing this, and Rebel News does a lot of crowdfunding, sometimes for ourselves, but sometimes for charitable projects around the world. And I think it's very important for our donors to know, and I'm going to look right at our donors and say, the reason we pursued this and got the funds back from the trustee and are making it right with you is because it is essential that anyone who's ever donated to Rebel News knows that we treat their donations with respect and we care about their donor intent. And there's another reason, which is a deterrent, that if anyone like the trustee who misappropriated these funds or misspent them, let me say that, they've got to, if anyone thinks that there's going to be shenanigans with the crowd funds we raise, we will pursue them to the ends of the earth. Now, luckily, the trustee in this case realized he had no chance. We had a very senior charities lawyer basically lay down the law. So, but it is important that people know they can trust, like the charity sector, there has to be credibility. I want you to look me in the eyes, Mikey, and promise me that you're going to put this check towards the best interests of the Lahaina survivors.
I can promise you that.
I believe you, by the way. I just wanted to hear you say it.
In Hawaii, the Hawaiian word is kuleana, responsibility, but that's just the surface level explanation or English translation. When you have kuleana to some place, it is to your core, it is because of your ancestors, and it is because of the generations to come. And so the leadership of Lahaina Community Land Trust, we are of this place. We've been here for generations, and we have to look our own community in the eye every single day to let them know that we're fighting for them.
I know you are, and I just wanted to hear you say that on camera. That's all, Mikey. I knew it, of course. I wanted people to see you say it.
Yeah, and so we want to mahalo everybody out there who has sent pennies and prayers and, thoughts to Lahaina. It's going to be a long road for us to recover, and opportunities like this to get the word out that we're still here, that we're trying our best to recover, and we're doing it in the name of community helps. And so if you can just let people know, if transparency is a big deal, take a look at our website.
I have, and I know you're a 501c3. That's registered with the IRS as a bona fide charity. So as I mentioned, there were two chunks of money. The first was the unspent money, which is outrageous in itself. That's what this is. This is $25,536.13 to the Lahaina Community Land Trust. Basically, we took this from the trustee, and the second tranche, which will be almost exactly the same amount, will be the funds that the trustee has agreed to repay. So altogether, it's approximately $50,000 US. I hope that makes a difference. Mikey, great to meet you. I got to get going back to the airport.
We're family now. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for doing what you do, and God bless Lahaina and the 102 souls who lost their lives will not be forgotten. They will live on through the good works you're doing. So thanks very much for meeting with me. I know it was your son's event here today, so we met you at sort of a school event. Yeah. I got to get back to Canada now. It's great to meet you, Mikey. All the best.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Rebel News.
Right on.